your girl AFROISMASSIVE and welcome back to my Dear Hair Stylists series. If you guys want the disclaimer video, please make sure you check out episode 1, which is all about introductions, where we introduce each other and the kind of reason for why I'm doing this series. Across these, next 30 videos or so, we're going to be deep diving, debunking myths around Afro hair and giving tips and advice and support for those of you guys who are hairstylists and don't have much experience with styling Afro hair. So today we are talking all about textures. Yes, let's get into it. I absolutely love talking about hair textures because it's something that's really overlooked. I think a lot of people out there just see a head of Afro hair and think that it's all the same, and that really isn't the case. It isn't one size fits all. Our hair is basically magic, and there are so many different types of Afro and curly hair, so it's really important that you get to know the kind of characteristics of these hair types. I actually have a little anecdote. I don't know, I'll probably end up peppering these anecdotes throughout this series, but my first ever film job, I'm not going to name the film or the person, but it was my first ever experience on a film set, and when I went into hair and makeup, I was incredibly excited. I had already come with my hair moisturized and prepped. It was the first time my hair was ever being styled. I was straight out of my master's, so I was 22. I sat down in the head of hairstyling department. I sat in his chair and I sat down and I said, "Hi, I'm Jessica, really great to meet you. I have a range of 3C to 4C hair on my head." And he said, "What?" He was like, he literally gave me the strangest look and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "The Afro hair types, I have 3C to 4C hair." And he was like, and his response actually shocked me still to this day. And he was like, "I've been working in hair for 30 years and I've never heard of this before." And I was like, okay, cool. What do you say to that? And I think I just laughed nervously and said, you know, Oprah's hairstylist created these kind of categories. It's all over YouTube. And he was literally in denial. He's like, "I've never heard of this before." And he even turned to the hairstylist next to him and said, "Have you ever heard of this?" The guy next to him, thank God, was like, yeah. So he then kind of handed me over to somebody else, and that was that really. So that was my first ever experience within hair and makeup in this industry. Kind of says it all. And bearing in mind, this wasn't a million years ago. This was 2017. So it was only 3 years ago. So even now when we say that, you know, YouTube is saturated with information, even then YouTube was saturated with information regarding Afro hair care and styling. So kind of awkward. But this happens all the time. So in a similar way, so many hairstylists still don't know about the hair texture category system that was created, and it's not perfect. It's really not perfect, but it really does help when, you know, having conversations about texture and curl patterns. So let's just get down to the science of it really quickly, just short and sweet. The curl type of the hair is determined by the shape of the follicles. So the more flat and the more kind of oval shaped the hair follicle, the more curly and coily the hair is going to be. So if you took a cross section of a strand of hair and it was actually more circular, then that would be a straighter piece of hair. So that's the kind of science behind why hair becomes coily and curly. And it's also super common that people with textured hair have more than one texture across their scalp, which is definitely true in my case. You guys know, for those of you who've been following my natural hair journey for the last, 7 years, lol. I've got a range of textures across my head, and also any of the hairstylists who have worked on my hair and who know my hair will definitely be able to vouch for me that I've got a lot going on in here. Oh, this light's quite bright. If I can bring this up a little bit. If you can kind of see. So I have really got you can see here these really coily sections under here around the nape of my neck. You tend to find that hair is a little bit more loose around the nape and the edges of the neck. So you can see here, this is a much looser texture. This is my 3C area, my 3C to 4A area, where you have a lot more shine, a lot more definition. And then for the rest of my hair, I do have more 4C sections, particularly in the back, which are a lot more dry, so they have a lot lower porosity threshold, and there is a lot less curl definition. I mean, even if you look at this section, for example, this is incredibly loose. This is basically wavy going on coily. This is just incredibly loose. But then at the front of my hair, I have the most low porosity, where water just cannot penetrate the cuticle. Oh my gosh, it is getting dark on me real quick. Note to self, do not film in the afternoons. So it's just really important to know that if you do have somebody who you're styling who has textured hair, then know that you may have, different sections that are coily, that are wavy, that are kinky, and that are curly. Type 1 hair is straight hair and type 2 hair is wavy hair. Now these two hair types are pretty much recognizable internationally and are kind of looked at as normative or even more manageable. So I'm not going to go into those ones for today. As soon as we branch into the 3 and 4 hair types, things tend to get a little bit more sticky. Type 3 hair is characteristically the curly hair type, so they are very buoyant and almost tumbling. Whereas when we go into the category 4 types, I like to describe them as spongy and almost effervescent. Curly hair tends to have more of a loop formation in the curl pattern, and coily or kinky hair tends to have more of a zigzag pattern. Now I want to be really clear when I say that not all type 4 hair is coarse, and it's certainly not strong. Now type 4 hair really is, it needs a lot of TLC, and it can also be incredibly fine as well. So if you're not used to styling afro hair or type 4 hair, then please don't go in with a lot of force, okay? Because you absolutely will damage our hair. The lighter, the better. Less is always more. You really need to treat coily hair like fine silk. Cleanse gently, detangle softly, low manipulation, and avoid harsh chemicals. And type 4 hair literally can be manipulated into any of the different textures, so it really is just very special depending on how you manipulate it. Whilst we're debunking the textures myths, it's really important to note that kinky hair also grows at the same rate as Caucasian or type 1, type 2 hair types. But because obviously with curly hair comes shrinkage and we have bounce and lift, you know, it gives the illusion of stunted growth when actually, you know, for example me, I'm trimming my hair all the time, like pretty much on a 3-month basis. And also type 3 and type 4 hair are incredibly low maintenance despite what we've been told, despite what we have been encouraged to believe. Curly and coily hair types are possibly the lowest maintenance required against all of the other hair types, depending on what the style is. So I know this might seem like a lot of information, but I want to urge you to not stress over curl types. You don't need to be a fountain of knowledge. If in doubt, ask the person whose hair that you're working on. Ask the model, the actress, the dancer, whoever, and have the conversation relative to their hair. Ask them about their thoughts and their routines like we talked about in the previous video, so that you can get to know it through them. Asking the right questions, of course. So that is pretty much it on hair textures for today. In our next session, we're going to be talking about moisturizing and how we're going to be manipulating these different hair textures. So guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please do let me know in the comment section down below. If you have afro hair, I would love to get your feedback. If you think there are things that I've missed, things that maybe aren't clear, or maybe things that you disagree with and you think definitely need to be talked about, please do let me know because there is definitely space for that on this platform. Make sure you share this with a stylist friend and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!